The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? Post-game pod. Look, I don't know if you want Grumpy Forsberg, but guess what? You're getting him. Celtics fall 123-114 to the Indiana Pacers. Look, I know these home-and-home series are tricky. It's tough to beat a good team twice, especially after you smash them by 37 points a couple days earlier. Really a scheduled loss for those Pacers. But bounce back tonight in a big way, dominates you in the paint, 66 points in the paint. Tyrese Halliburton gets wherever he wants, 31 points, and the Pacers cruise here. And I say that, well, so I guess the most maddening aspect of this game is that the Celtics pull within 2 in the fourth quarter. Where they're running in mud all night. The Pacers legitimately just feel like they're scoring every trip down, and when they don't, they did get some favorable whistles, but I'm not here to talk about the refs. And then the Celtics finally get it to 105-103 with 7:38 to go. And you blink after a timeout, and there Halliburton had a drive. Shepherd hit a three-pointer, and then Shepherd had a layup. And all of a sudden, it's the lead is back up to 9 in a minute 20 of floor time. So all the work, all that effort you put in just getting back into this, sent right back out. Celtics never really got close again after that. Their 9th loss of the 2024-25 season, including their 6th at home. Okay, a couple things here. It's wild that the Boston Celtics have 6 losses at home. They were 37-4 their last year. They were just perpetually good at taking care of home court. I mentioned this on the last post-game pod. Celtics, it was a priority last year because you trip up in the Eastern Conference Finals against Miami. You're, maybe doing a little soul searching after that year and how many games you lost at home, how complicated you made your path during that playoff run. And so the Celtics were so much better about it. And there was an emphasis on playing well at home and, making that part of your quest to be the number 1 seed. And that's part of the reason you dominated the Eastern Conference as well as you did. And now 12-6. Just teams coming into this building left and right and getting comfortable. Guards coming into this building and just feeling like they can get to the basket whenever they want. Feel bad for all those season ticket holders paying big bucks to be over there. Balanced out by you did win a championship last year. But I'm here to be grumpy. The Celtics now find themselves 4.5 games back of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who lead the Eastern Conference and who I believe are in a 6-game winning streak. Keep rolling. Celtics are also only 1 game up on the Knicks, who are sitting 3rd. A little bit more space between Orlando in 4th. Am I concerned about seeding in December? No. But it is worth mentioning that these are the conversations we will be having as we turn the page and go into 2025 and try to find storylines for this team down the final weeks of the regular season. And, I even think back to last year, the Celtics had a small gap on, I think it was even the Cavaliers in early January before they kind of motored away. With the way the Cavaliers are playing, there is a chance that they could just kind of leave you in the dust. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's at least 1 more head-to-head, maybe 2. And you're going to have an opportunity to get back in this. You can sit here and laugh at me when, the Celtics are high atop the Eastern Conference further down the road. But, there's a chance where, you're not prioritizing seeding, you're prioritizing health. And which I think is, regardless of where they stood at record-wise, would be the priority. But just not the crispest basketball, clearly, in this stretch. And really, ever since that 15-3 start, just kind of some bumps in the road. And, you can blame whatever you want. I hate blaming health. When did the Celtics ever make health an issue last year? Didn't have Porzingis for most of the playoff run, and they just found a way. Whenever someone was out during the regular season, they found a way. And now, sure, they were as healthy as we've ever seen the Celtics over the course of a season. Maybe Porzingis notwithstanding, but they just found a way. They always had. They leaned into their depth, and that's what differentiated them. And this year, they just haven't quite been able to tap into that. No fault of the bench tonight. Peyton does give you 21 off the pine. I actually thought Jordan Walsh gave you some good minutes despite, he smoked a potential 3-point play. I think that was the third quarter. Kornet gives you 9 rebounds. I liked a lot of what the bench gave you, but the starters just didn't have it. Tatum took forever to get on the board. If you didn't watch the game, you might see 22-9-7 or 22-9-6, and feel like he had a pretty good night. Just didn't have it going early on. But he struggled. Hauser, nice to see him knock down a couple 3 threes, but a lot of the highlights you'll see, Halliburton's kind of blowing past them, and I still think he's trying to get comfortable with that back. Al Horford, 2 for 12. He did get a 3-pointer to fall finally, kind of broke a streak. Finally slides past Larry Bird for most threes, and for the sixth, I think he's now sole possession of 7th place on the Celtics. But Derrick White, 3 of 11 beyond the 3-point arc. So this wasn't an offensive issue. The Celtics, while the numbers aren't great there, it was more on the defensive end, and these guys just did not bring it. I kept saying that what stood out most about Friday's effort was the focus and intensity this team played with. It just whatever their knob has been stuck at during this little grind. Like let's say it's been on 6 for like potential focus and intensity. They cranked that up to a 9 the other night, and it showed in the way they dominated Indy, and combined that with Indy coming off the crazy stretch and playing OKC the night before, it added up to a big win. Tonight the Celtics went right back to like maybe even 4.5 on the intensity scale, and the Pacers had a great game plan and attacked the paint, and it adds up to a 9-point win for Indiana, who takes the season series 2-1 over the Celtics. Now, that doesn't make up for getting swept in the playoffs, but something. And now I'm kind of keeping an eye on where Indy ends up in the playoffs, or in the seedings, because if they were to encounter the Celtics at any point, they would be pretty motivated. I will temper all this by saying, what's crazy, and it feels like I don't even know if I should go down this road, because Celtics are about to are watching the final seconds of this what ended up being like kind of a lopsided game, as the Celtics can't get back into it after that stretch early in the fourth, and Drew Peterson made like a dunk at the buzzer, or right before the buzzer, to bring it down to a 9-point loss. Celtics have still not lost a game by double digits this year. That does say something. It's not going to be top of the resume, but by this point, by New Year's, usually a team has gotten its butt kicked pretty hard by somebody, or at least lost by double digits. Celtics' average margin of defeat is only 5.1 points. I'm trying to count it up quick here. 5 games by 4 points or less, including an overtime loss to these Pacers. A couple 9-point losses in the stretch. But they've been pretty good in terms of, like, they've been competitive in every single game. But it just goes back to it. I just don't think the level of play has been good enough. I didn't think the level of play was good enough when they were 16-3. And I had a whole bunch of people in our studio yelling at me saying, you can't expect you're expecting too much, that they're getting every team's best shot, and that's absolutely true. Just hold this team to a high regard, and the level of play so far has not been adequate. The perimeter defense has not been adequate. The points in the paint has not been adequate. The desire to find the right shots on offense has not been adequate. And most of all, like, they just haven't been focused and locked in for even, forget 48, 46, 40, I don't know, like, what the number is, but they just have not been focused enough. There's been at least 12 minutes out of these games where they just go into either a painful funk or lose their minds, and it all adds up to their 9th loss of the 24-25 season. I'll be cheerier in the new year. This is the last mad pod of the year. Hopefully, my God, if we're mad after Tuesday against the Raptors, we got problems. Here's more from our postgame show. Celtics Talk is presented by 24 Auto Group, where now through the end of the year, they are doubling your down payment at all 11 locations throughout southern New England. Go to 24autogroup.com for more info.
The Celtics were able to cut it to 2 in the fourth, but Eddie, that fourth quarter was tough to watch when the Pacers made their run.
Yeah, we couldn't get any stops when we needed them. We couldn't get the timely stop when we needed to. And then also offensively, I don't think we executed offensively as well, but I think that's a byproduct of us not executing defensively. They went on a 13-0 run in the fourth quarter. They also, think about this, they had 18 fast break points. We only have 4 fast break points. That means that they were stopping us and getting out in transition. We didn't have an opportunity to stop them because we only have 4 fast break points. And when we did stop them, we didn't get out in transition, which means another thing that we just wasn't stopping them. They shot 50% from the field. It's just one of them games, man, that you want to erase, and you're happy that you have another game coming up in a couple days.
Yeah, relentlessly taking the ball out of the basket because the Pacers just kept scoring. You spend all that energy just trying to get close. You get to 2, and then there's some sloppy turnovers, some poor draw. It snowballed on the Celtics there. You know, I can erase one game, but I will say, what you look up and now they're 12-6 at home, 6 losses at the Garden before the new year. You know, you start looking at the standings, you're sliding a little bit further away from the Cavs. The Knicks are going to be 1 game behind you coming out of this. I'm not saying it's a panic button or anything. They were really good the other night. I don't know why the focus and energy didn't carry over the way it should have, but they should have expected Indiana to be much better tonight, and they didn't match that intensity, and they certainly didn't bring the defensive focus and energy. And now all of a sudden you're just looking up and you're like, yeah, it's a little uncomfortable where you are right now and trying to figure it out.
It's hard to believe this is the same team that faced this team. I know Nembhard was back in the picture here tonight, but the Celtics beat Indiana just on Friday a couple days ago, 37 points, and then boom, a completely different scenario. And Eddie, Celtics were able to cut it in the fourth. Let's kind of take a look back, and I want you to take me through this because they just started to drop here. The Celtics cut it to 2, 105-103, just about like 7.5 minutes to go. And the Pacers, as you mentioned, Eddie, go on a 13-0 run and took complete control of the game.
Well, look at that. That was a straight line drive right there. There was no resistance. Here, you help off of a 3. You know, there's a little action on the in the corner, but there should be no miscommunication. You should be able to switch that. Then you're just getting beat going down the floor after a missed shot or after a turnover. It doesn't matter what it is. You're just not getting back. And these are the things that can't happen. You know, that one pass to a dunk is just like a straight line drive. Here's an offensive rebound. They just was outworking us, you know, and what do you expect for a team that got the doors blew off of them the last time that they played? You got to expect that they're going to come out and say, hey, we got to have a little bit of a different type of fight because we just got the brakes beat off of us. We can't allow this to happen. They have pride. Those are professional athletes on the other side as well in different uniforms. And so when I look at it, it's just one team just came out and in spurts. And I thought that the Indiana Pacers spurts, they were able to sustain their spurts of really good basketball, really playing really good defense longer than we were able to do it.
I think the maddening thing is Celtics, again, expend all that energy despite being running in the mud for most of the night. You get within 2, and then it takes a minute and 20 seconds, and the lead's back up to 9. You know, you blink and you allowed 3 baskets the other way, whether it was the Halliburton drive, and then I think Shepherd had the 3 and the layup. It's just like you got to be tougher in those moments, and you can't let go of the rope. You can't let them get that momentum right back. Celtics fought so hard to kind of like get to that point. The building finally had some energy, and then all of a sudden to kind of fumble it away. So just disappointing all around the way that no one could quite catch this team tonight.
Yeah, the Celtics lose this mini-series here to Indiana, and it's a little frustrating because you saw what they did on Friday, and then boom, they perform like this. And this is the mini-series. Obviously, you see the Pacers win it 2-1. But Pascal Siakam in the first game, he had himself a night in double-doubles, and then Jaylen Brown went off. He was signing all those autographs, and rightfully so, 44 points. And then really, Tyrese Halliburton showed up here tonight, 31 points, 6 boards, 7 assists. They had 4 guys in double figures in the first half as we welcome in our guys, Drew and Scal, and Drew and Scal. I mean, the fourth quarter just completely slipped away, and I'm just wondering, I'm thinking to myself, like, what is it about the Celtics in that fourth quarter? Did they get tired? Was it lackadaisical, or did the Pacers just flat out take control?
Well, I don't know about you, Scal, but I think it was more about what the Pacers did offensively, getting into the paint. And, you know, we talked about it during the game, but you got to guard your yard. It was a clear emphasis by the Pacers to get in the lane tonight. We showed the numbers. Tyrese Halliburton had 18 points in the paint, and he's a point guard. They finished with 66 points in the paint as a team. They shot 33 for 52 in the painted area. Is that more about the Celtics defense not being up to par, or more about the Pacers offense?
I give Rick Carlisle and the Pacers all the credit. Yeah, we should be a better defensive team. We should be able to keep guys away from the basket. We shouldn't allow guys to get downhill. But he showed them the film. We're hugging up on three-point shooters because that's what we do. We want to take away the three. So you got to guard your yard. And today, Halliburton, Nembhard. How about the times where we switch and Miles Turner took advantage of that, taking us right to the block, getting the ball, not shooting a fadeaway, going to the rim, not catching it and waiting, going right up right away. So they knew how to attack our switches. I give the MVP, listen, the players play, but Carlisle had these guys ready from the start. They got out there, they got the right game plan, and they attacked, and they played as close to 48 minutes of basketball against the Celtics as I've seen all season long.
Yeah, Carlisle's a great coach, and he's got a great staff. 6 Pacers in double figures. 4 of them hit that mark in the first half, which ties the most by an opponent in the first half against the Celtics all season. The Bucks also did it with 4. But without Kristaps Porzingis, I mean, we're not trying to make excuses, but that does affect the Celtics' paint defense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that because I think they did it with strategy. I don't think it was strictly just, I'm just going to crack you off the dribble. If Porzingis was out there, then Carlisle would have came up with a different strategy. I think he's the best coach in the NBA at implementing how we're going to beat this team and then executing the game plan. There's a reason they ended up in the conference finals last year. The Knicks were beating these guys, and then I got it. The Knicks had some injuries, but Carlisle made adjustments, and their team executed the game plan. So there's something to be said about that. These guys execute that plan to a T, and then Carlisle put them in a great position to get to that point.
It's not the coach you want to face in a little weekend mini-series like this. Celtics did sweep them in the playoffs last year, of course, but a lot of those games were close. Pacers still sub 500. We'll see if we see them again down the road. After the game, Abby Chin with Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla.
Joe, we talked pregame. You were expecting a response from the Pacers. Why weren't you guys able to answer it?
Yeah, I mean, they got to the free throw line. They scored in transition. They were able to spread us and dribble drive us. And, credit to them. They played better than us today.
You did cut it down to 5 with a little under 4 minutes to go. Coming out of that timeout, what did you see? Yeah, I mean, I think they got a couple offensive rebounds, and then they made 2 shots. And then, I feel like there were some opportunities where we could have got a better look on the offensive end, and we didn't get it, and they were able to capitalize on it. This has been kind of a back and forth win-loss. Are those inconsistencies coming to a head?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you're there means that it is, and so, we just have to get better, and every season, every part of the season presents an opportunity, and, that's where we're at right now.
Defense is it's something that you got to have effort. We haven't had as much intensity and effort that we needed. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, along those lines, how different is the mindset challenge this season?
It's no different. Every season has its own challenges. Every season presents its own adversity, and you got to meet it. You can't think that last year is this year or this year is going to be last year. So you got to come out ready to play basketball. Whatever happens, happens. I think we're all set. Like everything's supposed to go exactly how it went last year, and that's not the case. It's not going to be the case. It's different, and we got to be able to meet that level, grow as a team, and be ready when it matters most.
I'm sure you've been in some situations where you felt the team has needed a jolt. In those moments, what are some things that would work? What are some things that you find to be effective?
Yeah, being aggressive, getting stops, being aggressive on defense, sparking that energy for us that we need, that we can overcome this. It's a long journey. We knew this was going to happen. We knew that we were going to get teams best during the regular season. We're getting teams, playoff-like intensities every single night, and we love it. It's going to help us grow if we look at it with the right intentionality and the right perspective. We can't complain about it, or we just got to meet the challenge, and I feel like we'll be better for it.
We're not guarding the ball with the one-on-one challenge. It's too many straight line drives, and that's the thing that's bothering me. Is the straight line drives. It's like, okay, if somebody can beat you and they make a great move and then the help's not there, but when you're able just to get by somebody easily and then you're losing your man in because you're ball watching and you're not ball you man. You don't have your pistols pointed to where you can see everything, and you're not aware defensively. I think we've taken a step back, and I can say this. Defensively, I feel like we aren't engaged the way that we need to be engaged to win a championship. And it has to happen. It has to start happening right now. I'm talking about on an every game basis. That's the one thing that travels. Shot doesn't travel, but your defense does travel. We can't have these lapses. Do I still believe that we are a championship team? Yes. But do I think that we're giving championship effort on the defensive end? I don't believe that.
This might be the toughest stretch that I've been on since I've been here in the Celtics. So I'm just going to bring us closer together. Just got to know that everybody's got their best interest in mind and just have each other's back. And so I just think it's going to bring us closer. There's ups and downs through every season. So we're in one of those downs, and we just got to figure it out together.
Jayson, obviously, no one wants to lose, right? You guys are still, though, inconsistent. Is there a level of maybe overconfidence in yourselves that you guys know how to do it, that you guys know that you can, turn it on, that maybe sometimes you let certain parts of the game get away from you a little too much?
No, I don't think so. I think we have the humility because we've been through it. We've been through times and parts of the season where we took it for granted, and I think we've learned from that. But I think, we're just at a point of the season where we're not happy where we're at. And, we all have to understand we played a part in where we're at right now, and we just got to be better.
Jayson, has it been harder to reestablish yourselves as, the preeminent team in the league than you anticipated? Obviously, you knew you were going to get everybody's best on a night-in, basis, but has it been harder to get back to the top and reestablish yourselves this year?
I mean, every season presents its own challenges. And, this year is no different. I guess, getting everybody's best shot. But, we should be used to that. It's been like that for the last few years. And we just got to start, swinging first. We got to get back to that.
Jayson, Joe mentioned the inconsistencies on the defensive end. Where do you think those are stemming from? Is it more effort, focus? Like, where do you think some of that inconsistency defensively is coming from for you guys lately?
I think we got to communicate better. All 5 guys got to be on the same page. Too many breakdowns. And I think if we just, communicate and talk a little bit better, that'll help with a lot of things.
And then Derrick mentioned this might be the toughest stretch he's been through since he's been with the Celtics. It feels like you guys have had a pretty high level of consistency over the years. It feels like you guys have also built a persona of just even keeled, not too high, not too low. How do you avoid that frustration in a time like this that feels like you so rarely lose this many in such a short span? How do you avoid that frustration seeping in?
I think being honest with yourself. Understand it's a long season. We got a lot of basketball left. We're so far from our ultimate goal, right? It's so far down the road. And, we've had some good moments this year and some not so good ones. This is my 8th year, and every year there's good moments and not so good moments. It's all how you navigate the roller coaster of a season. Some stretches are better than others. You feel better during certain stretches than you do others, and it's just part of being in the NBA.
All right, Celtics back in action on Tuesday. The slumping Toronto Raptors, who have lost 10 in a row. They are 14th place in the Eastern Conference, ahead of only the Wizards. They are 28th in the NBA, which means they would currently be slotted with top 4 draft odds. Scotty Barnes was back tonight, and they still got blown out by like 30 against the Hawks. I don't know what to say, but I do know this. It's probably going to be a more difficult game than you think, because that's what teams do. They show up at TD Garden, and it's like, oh, it's New Year's, and you think everybody just wants to get home and pop bottles of champagne. No, opposing teams are popping bottles of their own in the locker room because they're thrilled to come in against the champions and show what they can do. And so this will be a big stage for a team that's struggling. Celtics have got to bring the intensity, especially because we don't like looking ahead. Celtics can't look ahead. I can look ahead because early January, start of the new calendar year, is loaded with challenges. Celtics open up 4-game road trip later in the week at Minnesota and at Houston, a back-to-back, which is a pretty tough turn going from Minnesota to Houston, plus with the two styles of play. That Houston game in particular is going to be mighty difficult. Ime, a whole bunch of factors going on there. Then you got to go to Oklahoma City, the best team in the NBA beyond the Cavaliers ahead of you. At least you've beaten the Cavaliers. And now you got to show it against OKC. And then up to Denver, see a team you saw twice in Abu Dhabi, and a team that, when Jokic is on the floor is very good, and a team that really has no answer when he's not on the floor. You got another 4-game road trip later in the month. Some weirdness scheduled in the middle. I think even another Toronto game. But the fact of the matter is, 2025, the intensity again. Let's go back to the knob analogy. The challenges are going up. This should have been a stretch where it was down on 6, and now the 9.5 is coming as you navigate this early part of the calendar, and then go out west again. So need the Celtics to crank it up as well, and I promise I'll be less moody on Tuesday, maybe. Until then, you know what makes me less moody? If you go like, subscribe, check us out on the YouTube page. You can watch me as I squeeze the life out of this pen from another Celtics loss. We'll catch you next time, Tuesday, on the Celtics Talk Podcast.